Today I'm talking to Chad Carrodus with Jere Metcalf Partners of Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's International Realty. Only at Jere Metcalf Partners is he better known as Big Chaddy Daddy Carrodus. At just 22 years old, Chad is the top real estate agent in Atlanta. He hit hard times before he was a teenager. He turned those hard times and hardships into successes. From the nonprofit Atlanta Children's Charities that he launched with 300 members at 16 years old and is still running today, to selling jets and jet time, to launching a software company, to selling an e-commerce company. He has drawn from these successes and the lessons he learned to land where he is today, a top producing real estate agent in Atlanta. I'm not sure if I mentioned, with Jere Metcalf Partners at Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's International Realty. He and I talk about tuning into abundance. Thanks for listening to the Jere Metcalf Podcast, where top real estate agents tell how they do it. This podcast was created for real estate agents across the country to come together, sharing ideas to take your, their, and our business to the next level. All right, everybody, it's the Jere Metcalf Podcast where top real estate agents tell how they do it. Today, we have the one and only Chad Carrodus with Jere Metcalf Partners at Atlanta Fine Homes, Sotheby's International Realty. Chad, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I was telling you before we jumped on, I'm a little bit starstruck, so you'll have to forgive me if I...
Yeah. Yeah. Chad only sees me like every day. I was like, yeah, Chad. I haven't warmed up enough to cuss on the show yet, because I would otherwise.
Before I started working with you, I did. I mean, that's how I found you.
That's true. Yeah. See, you always turn. We're supposed to talk about you today, and you're already spinning it on that. So, everybody, you heard the intro. Well, those of you who aren't listening to this live on our Facebook live stream at Jere Metcalf Partners, we talked a little bit about you, but we're going to talk about you again. So, Chad is one of these people that. Can I give your age?
Yes.
Right now he's 23. He usually doesn't like for me to claim
22.
that.
22.
He's actually 64. He's 64, but he's been on this planet. He's an old soul, but he's 23. And at the age of 22, see, I'm still doing it. 22. I'm trying to give him an extra year. I'm trying to figure out how he's done so much so quickly. He's already had a TED Talk. You're already a top producing agent in Atlanta. You're already on the Jere Metcalf Partners team, or with Jere Metcalf Partner. But before that, you've started a software company. You raised well into six figures for the software company at 17 years old. You have had a TED Talk. And let's get into that. So do we start with where you are now, or are we going to start with the beginnings? Because they go back so far. The thing is, everybody, I'll say one more time, they really do, because you get so much done so quickly, even since you've been with our team.
Well, yeah, obviously, I mean, not to blow smoke here, but
you go ahead. You can.
Oh, yeah. No,
I know how starstruck you are.
It's in a conducive environment to, I guess, achieve success.
Well, tell us a little bit about, so you're in real estate now, top producer in Atlanta. You're a Jere Metcalf Partner, which we're going to be JMPartners. That almost sounds weird to call it Jere Metcalf Partners, but you're with us. How did you get here? Like, what were the beginnings? You grew up, let's start, like, where did you grow up? You went to high school, and then start with how you really got into the career world and landed here.
Sure. So I think one differentiating and kind of important factor about Generation Z is that we're like the recession babies. So we remember, or not even babies, like the recession, like developmental years.
Yeah.
So in middle school and just really where it was like super formative. So I grew up in East Cobb, which is just a northern suburb of Atlanta. But really, kind of in middle school, it was like, 2008, 2009, 2010. And my dad's in the steel industry, and he had a really successful steel company. And steel was just one of those industries that got obliterated. So lifestyle and comfort and everything got kicked upside down. And I kind of realized, I was like, okay.
How old were you? I'm afraid to ask how old you were. You were young. You were like 11.
Yeah, 10, 11, 12, 13. I mean,
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like super, super formative years. So,
Yeah.
and being used to like such, a lifestyle that's comfortable, but you didn't even realize it was comfortable until it wasn't. And then just having it ripped out and you're like, oh shit, that was a lot nicer when it was comfortable.
Yeah.
So I basically just realized that it wasn't going to happen for me. And I just have to figure it out. So it was just anything to make a dollar, whether that was babysitting or mowing grasses.
So at about 12, you were like, oh God. I mean, you went from, if you wanted something, you had it. You had a nice house, nice cars, nice clothes. And then suddenly it was everything that you thought you could have. You couldn't have it. I mean, you guys probably had to move out of your house. And did you move into an apartment or?
Yeah. No, I mean, so it was like really, really, really bad because, we had a lake house and a boat and all that. And then it went from, all of those things that or at least I took for granted, to repossessed.
Yeah. So into an apartment, if I want anything, I've got to figure out a way to get it.
Exactly. And I think it's just kind of that, not so much just scarcity mindset, but experiencing that scarcity to realize like what achievement truly is.
Yeah. Well, what's awesome about it is in that, there's a lot of talk these days about victimhood getting rewarded. You're like, no, this isn't a reward. What is the reward for you? Like when you went through that, what was the process in your mind to get you from because as a kid, you're kind of pretty well wired by it, even 11 or 12 of what you've got. What happened mentally that you shifted and said, okay, and then we're going to jump 5 years ahead but what shifted in you to make you just go after it? Or do you remember or?
Yeah, I mean, I think, and this is just kind of something that I still carry to this day. And it's really just in such a cliche quote, but if the door doesn't exist or if opportunity doesn't knock or whatever it is, go create the door. So it's really just about creating opportunity for yourself. And that's really what I realized. And especially being in the generation that I am in, with all my peers, the internet is, it's at our fingertips, and it's amazing how much we can learn and absorb and even just communicate and reach out to people and build a network and so on and so forth.
So because you made the comment, like at 11 or 12, if you needed to do something, you would, I forgot what you said, you would I don't know if it was babysit or what did you do for money? Because I'm going somewhere with this.
Everything. And it was, I would buy like cracked iPhones and sell them on eBay. And then,
wow.
Everything. So it was just anything. And cause I remember $100 was like, oh my gosh,
wow,
I am loaded. So I was doing that. And then, so I would babysit the neighbors because I realized it was tax-free and cash. And then I would take that cash, whatever, $9 or $10 an hour.
Right.
And then go buy the smashed iPhones from, my friends at school, and then turn around and not even fix them and just sell them.
God. But they were still it's not like they didn't know.
Well, they knew. Yeah, they were crying.
Yeah. But they knew they could get them and refurbish them and have them for a lot less money. I love it. So you went from that to, so it was really it reminds me of a Frank Lloyd quote that the most our opportunities come out of our limitations. Like when we were in limited, some of the most creative homes he designed were because of the limited lots he was designing them on. And that was a little bit of what you were going through. But you went from babysitting and then reselling things to suddenly you are starting I think your first big thing in the career world was launching, was it launching a software company or was it something else?
was working for our mutual friend, which is how I met you. What?
Wow. So you did that first.
So, and how I did that is
Okay.
thanks to the internet. I Googled everything just ridiculous.
So you wanted to sell jets. Was that, or what did you want to do with the, yeah, tell us, go backwards. Like, where was your mind when because you basically were working for a jet company, like a private, you're working for just a private jet company helping sell jets, or assistant to that. What did you do? How did you get to that? Like, what were you looking for?
Yeah. So right when I got my driver's license, so the summer when I turned 16, all of my friends got jobs at Smoothie King and so on and so forth. And I was like, not me. Not that I was like better than that at all, but the fact that I was like, why would I do that when I saw, I guess, like the leverage of time and just, how easy, or in my mind, I guess, how easy it was to do something else. So I wrote down a list of everything that I'd be interested in doing. So on there was luxury real estate, selling private jets. Because again, remember, like, we had no money. So
right.
It was like an escape, at the time too.
Yeah.
And I just, I'd write it down, Google them, and then just find the people on LinkedIn or the owners and message them or call them. And I got a lot of no's, but I actually got 2 yeses. And one of the yeses was from Glennis Beecham, who I ended up interning for.
Yeah.
And then Lisa, who I started as
So did you do the intern or did you help with the jets first? Which one was it?
I worked for Glennis first.
Oh, wow. So you worked for Glennis. Were you in the reception or were you?
So I was their first summer intern. So this was like my first real, which I've never really had a real job to this day. But that was,
some of us just aren't made for those.
Exactly.
Anyway, so tell us what you were doing. So you were at a boutique firm with Glennis Beecham's firm here, and what were you doing with her company? You were an intern.
Yeah, no. So I was office manager, and
this is at what? Are you 16 at this time?
I'm 16, and now I was thinking about what I was doing, and not to sound like at all. But I was like, wow, I put in the work up front. I was just doing everything and I loved it. And I didn't even think I was putting in the work, which is why I think, it worked.
Yeah.
From putting in listings to just changing pictures on FMLS and so on and so forth. But yeah, no. And so that was just for the summer, and then started with Lisa once school started.
So what made you decide to go work for this private jet company? Basically, you were selling jet time and jets, right?
Yeah. So it started, I was just, in assistant, if anything, just kind of like an hourly admin person that came in twice a week to do some stuff. And then I finally convinced the owner of the company to let me do sales. And she, was like, I'm not going to let a 16-year-old sell, private $100,000 charters and, aircraft time, to billionaire clients and such. But eventually I convinced her to let me do it. And started getting clients. I was just picking up the phone and.
So then how long did you do that?
Maybe 2 years. I don't know. Don't go on.
Was it that long?
No, maybe a year. I don't know. It kind of all mashed together.
It did. Well, you moved fast. So that's when I found out about you, but I didn't put the pieces together until later. But that was not an easy job.
No.
But you were great.
But I didn't realize it wasn't an easy job. I thought I was a 16-year-old that was selling jets and I was on top of the world. That was the coolest thing in the world.
So you did that. So tell us, what were your big lessons from the internship at the boutique firm to the internship with the jet company? And then tell us what comes next.
I think big lessons from the first one was I truly love real estate. And frankly, love the product too. That company really specialized in Atlanta's ultra high-end market. So getting started there as opposed to some of the other, firms and brokerages was really a different perspective.
Yeah.
And then with the jet stuff, I realized I would rather fly on the jets than sell them. So I needed to figure out a way to do that.
So then what happened next?
I started a software company.
Now, where does the TED Talk come in?
I was 19 or 20 when I did that. So it was like 2 years ago.
And you started the software company when you were 17.
17.
So tell us about the software company. And what I really want to know is how do you, like, I think the most fascinating thing, I'm going to let you tell the story and then I'll tell you what's fascinating. It's how you even launched it. But tell us kind of what happened. But it was amazing how you were able at that age to raise that kind of money.
I think it's because
there's something to be said for that, Chad, that we all want to learn from you, especially me.
I was blinded by, I don't know how to say, what is it, naivety or the act of being naive.
Well, we're all naive and not all naive people can do that. So give yourself a little credit, but let's start from the beginning. I'm jumping ahead. I know too much. Tell us a little bit about how this idea came about, how it came together, how you decided to do it.
Yeah. So really the company, the software platform was basically, it connected small businesses, through an online platform. So, it was basically like Zillow for small businesses, like brick and mortar small businesses would be the best way to think of it. And it really just came from, I guess, the love of, frankly, small business and creating your own opportunities, kind of as I said earlier. And I just thought even the most unsexy industries and businesses, because I've been in the sexiest, jets, super nice houses, so on and so forth. But even that, I thought like the dry cleaners and the, gas stations and any
laundromats and
laundry, exactly.
Or emission centers, the emissions.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
You've never thought, so we're sidetracking, but I rode horses in Las Vegas. That's a quick side story. But the point of bringing that up is one of the owners of a farm where I rode horses and trained horses, he owned like 8 emission centers. He had all these little businesses.
Exactly.
And one of his businesses that was most lucrative was like 8 emission centers. It's like, who knew? I'm like, what does this guy do? He's got like all these emission centers all over Las Vegas. Right? So anyway.
Exactly. And I think, honestly, that's what I learned working in the jets is that the people that were booking these, literally they pay $100,000 to fly from Atlanta to Los Angeles.
$100,000 for a flight. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's just the point to where to them, it's a time value of money. And these weren't crazy celebrities. It was Joe Schmo from Joe Schmo Capital Inc. or whatever. So it's people that just kind of did that. And I guess I truly fell in love with business again. So
you really learned, back to what you learned at Jet Centers Aviation. So you came from, you were a kid with everything to a kid with literally like nothing. Like you really were a kid, like $100 is like, oh my God. You had to earn it and make it. So then you never took no for an answer. Like everything I hear from you is no matter what happens, there are no limits and no is never no.
To a fault.
Yeah. So fast forward with the jet. So you got a taste of luxury and having nice things. Or you're kind of reminded it in the world with the real estate company, but really you connected with so many different kinds of clients with the jets. And you had people, you're like, oh, like it's not just like you see on TV where it's somebody who's a celebrity booking flights for $100,000. Exactly. The people who really have the money are the ones we don't even know who they are.
Exactly.
They're doing completely random different things.
Exactly.
So that opens you up to really start thinking about back. And it reminds me, it's back to the iPhones, reselling the iPhones on eBay. Now you're selling businesses online with your own software company.
I love deals because, as you know, I'm so like all over the place and ADD and just like, and that's
but you get traction. You're making things happen.
Exactly. And it's, I guess just not taking no for an answer. Back
to the businesses. So you start the software company. Now, And guys, all of this, so here we are, where this is a real estate show, but I love your story, Chad, and I wanted to share it with everybody because it's all of that history that's gotten you to a point in real estate where you just pull deals in and you just churn deals out because of your history. So let's get into, you're 17 and you're raising money to invest in a software company and you're 17. Like, what do those meetings look like? How are you landing the meetings? What are you saying? Like, how does it, yes, you were naive, but naive or not, like you did it.
I mean, I think, and when I look back at it, frankly, I don't know if I could do it again, which is what I will give myself.
Because you're going to take it to the next level, my friend. That's the only reason why.
But also the fact that, I mean, I guess I realized, and someone told me, I can't remember who it was, but they had said, Chad, no one else knows what they're doing either. You just gotta, do it with conviction, and figure out a way to make it happen. And that's, kind of what I did. And basically, every no, I had to find an answer. Okay, no, but let's fix it. So that's the problem. I mean, it's fixing problems, and that's what I guess
most people stop at no. Did you just hear what you said? You said I would hear no, and then you keep going past no because no is not no. That's why your no is not your no, because you hear the no and you dig deeper.
Right.
So what did your first, like, can you give us an idea of like when you were doing this, because you're 17, this is paralleling it to sales in general. Was it like, how many meetings did you have to get your first investor? And when you got, what did you have to figure out to get your first investor? And then once you did that get traction? Did you figure out a formula or did you just keep winging it?
I kept winging it. And I think it's the fact that I didn't overanalyze and overthink any situations.
Because you were 17 and naive.
Because I was 17.
Right.
I mean, looking back, because the attorneys I had corporate counsel that to this day I probably wouldn't hire because they were like top of the top of the top of the top.
Right.
And I didn't even realize it. And they took me on as a client and, I paid for it because they just thought, they were like, damn, this kid knows what he wants. But yeah, I mean, and from there it definitely was, I learned so much, so much just about business, about, sales, about marketing, about genuinity and actually delivering and setting expectations and innovation and so on and so forth.
I'm writing these down because I'm going to ask you about them. So you learned about sales, you learned about marketing, you learned about setting expectations, and you learned about, I think you said innovating. Was that it?
We had an office space. We were one of the first tenants at Atlanta Tech Village. So I would after high school, I would drive down 400 to Buckhead right there on.
Okay, Paul, what year? This was not very long ago. This was 6 years ago?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. It's funny because back then, like with our car, Greg would be like, you should just get an office in there. That'd just be a cool place to cross paths with the right people. I was like, yeah, whatever. He's like, no, we could do it. Nah, we should have done. We would have done a software company together. Anyway, so you're driving to Atlanta Tech Village.
Mm-hmm. And really just, I would just, my biggest thing is surrounding yourself with the right people. And that was an environment to where that was conducive. And then that, I guess, gave me a further platform, and I learned about PR and press and marketing because on paper, I realized I was and I heavily quote millionaire, based on this, value of my stock. I did not have $1 million in the bank. I will be the first one to say, but I was like, oh, this is an angle, let's spin it. In the sense to where you got to build momentum. But then I guess that's where I started to learn. I saw how much traction and how dangerous momentum could be on that front, like some companies we know about. And I realized that I learned how to pump the brakes.
And the gas.
And the gas, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's incredible. So coming out of that, You were incredibly successful in raising funds. You're incredibly successful at such a young age launching this company. It didn't turn out to be what you wanted it to be, but that's like, I think 99% of companies do that. But how many 17-year-olds even launch something like that? So all that being said, you had all these great, like, I think, were you even surprised by yourself with what you did?
Yes and no. In looking back, yes, but in the moment, I still felt like it wasn't enough.
So what was your biggest lesson, if there was one out of all of that?
Slow down, take your time.
Sometimes when you go slower, you get there faster.
Exactly.
So coming out of that, what have you carried forward with you? Because you still make things happen, but you definitely have a different perspective.
Yeah, I think the main things that I took from that were, well, I loved being in the technology space because the whole really premise of it is how can we do this better and more efficiently? So, I mean, I think that I really carry that mindset with me every day. And I love implementing technology and researching different technologies to, automate or make certain things more efficient or scale. But also, I guess, and this is where I really do value those earlier experiences of dealing with ultra high net worth clients, is the fact that that level of service and that personal touch,
Yeah.
you can never automate that. You can never automate that.
So when did the TED Talk come in? Because I think a TED Talk happened sometime around or after the software company.
Yeah. So I ended up I majored in entrepreneurship at Baylor. And then in entrepreneurial style dropped out after the first year because I sold a e-commerce company. And after I sold it, I came back and I consulted for another company and at Atlanta Tech Village. And that's when the TED Talk came in. And honestly, I was like,
I mean, everybody, do you see what I'm talking about? He sold an e-commerce company. He launched a software company. Then he came back to, I mean, like, dude, come on. Okay, keep going. So the TED Talk, so you're consulting with a tech company. You're out of school, back in Atlanta, consulting a tech. What were you consulting on?
I don't even know. I don't think, I mean, I mean, they were happy with it, but I guess I really, into this, I took what I knew for granted and I still do, and I guess not realizing the value in it. And I guess it's just perspective, because I've been fortunate enough to see perspective from, I guess, multiple generations in a sense.
Well, to explain that to us a little bit, and then we're getting to the TED Talk. So we talked a lot about perspective and from multiple generations, because you're 64 at heart and 23.
Right.
22. God, I cannot remember. Jack is on our team, everybody. He's 23. And Chad is 22. He reminds me often. Chad is the baby. So Chad, at 22, we always say you are a 64-year-old and you somehow, like, you're in a 22-year-old's body, but we swear you're 64 because you've got such an old soul and such old wisdom and such insight, or say old wisdom. You've got so much insight that is just really, I think that attributes to just not being afraid of reality, the good or the bad. I think a lot of people close their eyes to the bad or don't think it could really be that good. And you do neither. Your eyes wide open.
Right.
But you've had perspectives on so many businesses already, from, the flashy new money to the old money to the new money, but not flashy money, but you never guess money and all of that. Wow. Now let's get into the TED Talk, because finally we're going to lead back into real estate and back into today and all of that you've carried forward. So tell us about tech company consulting, and then the TED Talk comes in. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I was just kind of finding my way. I mean, I don't know. What do you want to know about?
How did the TED Talk happen? Like, how did you land that? Did you call them? Did they call you? Did you decide you wanted to do a TED Talk?
I honestly, I was like, a TED Talk, that sounds familiar. And then I Googled it and I was like, you guys want me to do this? Okay.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's just, and that's when I kind of took a step and I realized the work that I was putting in, building a personal brand. I mean, I remember I bought ChadCarrodus.com like when I was like 15, and it was I think it was like $99 on Squarespace. And I was like, oh my God, this is all my money. Like, it's gone now. And not realizing because there was no immediate return. And then years later,
you had the foresight though to do it.
And I guess that's what it is just taking action and building these little steps now, because everyone wants to make a plan, and plans are obviously very important.
Yeah.
Plans without action aren't anything.
Reminds me of a quote we actually just posted on our social media. I don't know if you used it, but Bridget and I used it. But it's the Wayne Dyer quote: abundance is not.
Yeah.
Abundance is not building things. Abundance is but abundance is not acquiring things. Abundance is a state of mind. It's not even a state of mind. What does he say? It's a great quote.
I don't know. I thought it was something like that.
I don't have my phone on me intentionally. Anyway, it's an awesome quote. So do you have your, don't even. Don't, look it up. Do you want to pull it up? It's so good.
But yes, no. So I'll pull it up, but abundance is definitely, honestly, anything, it all has to do with the state of mind, ultimately. All right. So abundance is not something we acquire. It is something we tune into.
That's it. Tune into. Yeah, it's so true. You are tuned into, for sure.
Well, abundance. I plugged myself. I forced myself into it. I mean,
tune into abundance. Maybe that'll be the name of this podcast. We'll see.
That's good.
I should start writing that down. Okay, so TED Talk. So your TED Talk, tell us what it was about.
It was Redefining Success, was the title of it. And at that point, I was kind of at a crossroads of sorts. I guess I had achieved a level of mild success when I was really young. And I felt like I had nothing to show for it in any form or fashion. Yet people were still, I don't know, like they...
impressed.
Yeah,
because you don't give yourself enough credit. So tell us about the TED Talk. But keep going.
It was a great branding opportunity.
But tell us about your state of mind. You were talking about your state of mind. You were at a crossroads, and you're like, well, everybody thinks I'm great, but I'm not sure. And,
right.
And you did this TED Talk, and what did you say? What was the message, and where were you when?
Yeah. So really, basically, the underlying message of the TED Talk was, I had a little bit of money when I went to, so at Baylor. I mean, there's lots of money at Baylor. But I had, this whole, not so much ego, but kind of basically it was my first taste of freedom, I guess, financially, and just being away from home. And then also being a little bit different in the sense that I wasn't just doing my major. It was, Google me, was.
Yeah. Google me.
And
Google him, everybody. Anyway.
I started to realize, I was like, okay, wait, maybe, a little modesty wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it was just, and then getting back, kind of into it. And then that was as I was building. And because when I was out there, I shouted to the mountaintops about how awesome I was and how successful I was, but it still, it didn't, I didn't feel it inside. But then I guess when I came back, I started to feel more empty, and people were just starting to catch on because they were seeing all of my, shameless self-promotion. So it was kind of, it was a little bit off there, but it gave me, I guess, perspective. And I realized that, it's more so about fulfillment, and then success, whatever that is to you or whoever.
So your TED Talk on redefining success, because it's still vague right now. Here's a question for you. Do you still resonate with the TED Talk that you gave? What was the message of the TED Talk, and what would it be now if you redid it?
That's a great question. I mean,
now when you stomp Chad Carrodus, you've done something, everybody.
I guess what I do think is what it would be now would be a focus on.
Whoa, what was it then?
Well, then it was believe in yourself. You can do it. Just come on, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, no matter what's thrown at you, figure it out. Now, I think if I could change the message, it would be pay it forward. And really, I guess, because that's where fulfillment comes from, is by,
you say pay it forward. If the word comes to mind, purpose.
Absolutely. And that's so I was trying to redefine success, but I didn't have a definition. And now I would say that definition is purpose.
And how do you find your purpose?
Building things, building people, building success with others. And I think that's why, you and I instantly hit it off, because I think that we share that purpose.
Yeah, it makes me think of, and actually everybody who's going to know soon, I'm kind of a fan of the book Fortitude by Dan Crenshaw. And a big message, he's not the only one who says this, but a big message in his book is, and I haven't finished it, I'm halfway through, but it is about, purpose in life and happiness and fulfillment is to what you just said, is paying it forward, helping people, serving people, finding whatever your purpose might be, finding that and giving that to the world, giving that to people. And it's really what you're saying. Whether you read the book or not, whether you're a fan, he will have read the book, everybody, because I will see to it, because he's not going to escape me. So for you, it was, in the beginning, it was you make yourself big, make things happen. And now it's perhaps you do make things happen, but the real way to make things happen is to find a perfect purpose. And the whole reason why you have value is what you offer the world in the first place.
Right, exactly. And I think you have to be, in order to make an impact, people have to hear you. I do think so. I think I was really loud on the front end. And now I've definitely calmed down. I mean, I'm definitely not as active on social media and all that,
you only have about 10,000 followers, but hey.
But that was, I think I'm losing them now.
No.
So on Instagram, everyone. But no, I was so front focused with really nothing to show for it. But now I feel like it's swapped, and but it's working.
No, that's awesome. So what is your biggest, what are you most proud of so far in your long 22 years? And your 22 years of getting 64 years worth of stuff done, what are accomplished and learned? What are you most proud of so far?
I think leaving my comfort zone. And that's one thing that I realized that I will definitely say I've kind of always gravitated towards, and realizing the growth that brings, because I always forced myself out. I mean, I dropped out of college. I, did all these different things that weren't the norm, and it was against that. And then now it's kind of like, I have people from high school and from college that are, messaging me on LinkedIn, trying to get, an endorsement or, something. And that was stuff that I was asking. I probably asked you for one, 7 years ago.
Did I give you one?
No, probably not. But it was, and
I'll give you one now. Anyway, you're only on the podcast now. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it was just leaving the comfort zone and just realizing like, I didn't realize, I mean, I guess how, in some, ballsy it was just to reach out to people and to ask them for things. And, I mean, even now I'm like, hey, Jerry, how about we do
yeah. But that's how we've done a lot because of that. And of course, I'm the one who I'm usually like the Mrs. Yes. I've become the Mrs. No, but within reason, because I'm still saying yes to an awful lot. What do you think? And then I still have the other question. I'm going to dive into this a little more. Had it not been for, obviously our wiring's our wiring, but it seems like what you went through as a kid was you went through that at an age, at 11 years old, where you go from everything and just kind of, this is reality, to a complete shift in all reality and paradigm. If that hadn't happened, who do you think you would be now, and what might be different now if you had to guess?
I would be totally different. I mean, I wouldn't be as motivated. Or I probably wouldn't really be motivated at all. And honestly, I'd just be I've already sworn, like.
Would you still be a Baylor, like stretching that out?
No, I mean, I'd just be an asshole, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'd kind of go with the flow because it was comfortable. And I realized the power of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And how much of a driving factor that truly is, because it's like, oh no, I know what that feels like. It's not that fun. So let's avoid that.
And what do you think about, when listening to you as a Gen Zer, I think a lot of people, there's this perception out there, and I don't know how real it is, and maybe better than I do as an engineer, there's kind of this perception and concern that suddenly, I'm like, I can't believe, look, I'm 2 generations ahead of you. What am I, a Gen Xer? So you got the Gen Zs, the millennials, the Gen Xers. As a Gen Xer, most of my life
didn't even have electricity.
Right. And we didn't even have like TVs we didn't have cars. We were like going around on horse and buggy. My kids think that. But seriously, like everything was about, this happened, you hit a challenge, you overcome it, and look at what, like, it's about how overcoming. It's about finding yourself in the struggles. That's where and now you hear there's this concern. I don't watch quite enough TV, that there's a lot of reward, and you hit the struggle and you're rewarded for being, or, oh, now you're a victim. Oh, now, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's an old person thing to say, and I'm just like I swear I'm not that old, but maybe I am 27, everybody. I'm a Gen Xer, but I am 27. I'm a 27-year-old Gen Xer. So, but you're actually kind of like a baby boomer. Like I'm really confusing everybody, especially if you can't see us. So I am a Gen Xer. You're a Gen Zer. What do you have to say about that? Because you really have a story of overcoming, and you continue to overcome and grow and grow and grow. That's just who you are. So what do you have to say about that?
I think my whole generation has overcome and grown and grown and grown. And I mean, think about the recession, because all of my peers.
Hey, y'all weren't working, honey. I was in the work. I'm kidding.
No, but we saw our parents for the world.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, they did everything they were supposed to do. They went to college. They, got the paper. They, got the MBA and so on and so forth. And now they're on, unemployment. And they used to make $500,000,
Oh, that explains so much.
And that's the whole, and now, right now, all of my friends, they just graduated college and a lot of debt into coronavirus. And they're like,
Right. And then there was oh, wow. What a great point. Now for you though, you've seen the world and said, I actually tried a real job. It just barely lasted 6 months. And I was like, this isn't for me. It's going to be all or nothing for me. No, none of these like real corporate jobs. But to you, it was, you had that challenge and you had it quick and early. And you're like, man, the world has lots to offer. I'm not going to settle for what everybody just says I'm supposed to do.
It's a false sense of security, because I think that we've seen security fail twice. The go to college, get a degree, get a great job, work at the same company for 20 years, and then get fired with your whole family and left in the dust.
Right.
And then coronavirus, now it's a totally different thing after everyone worked so hard.
But look at you. And during the coronavirus, what were you thinking about all of it in your situation? Were you a victim?
No, I was like, I just bought a house. I bought an
Right. Right.
Not exactly like that, but it's because, it's simply like.
But how blessed were we as real estate agents, the ones whose parents told us, are you crazy? You don't have a job. You don't have benefits.
Exactly.
And look at how, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, if I had a real job, this would be so scary.
It would be so scary. And now, honestly, I feel with where we're at, I feel extremely comfortable with the trajectory of the market. If anything, even more confident about it. And, meanwhile, it's like these people that just got jobs at these great companies are getting laid off left and right. And I couldn't even imagine. And now I do have a lot of people reaching out, friends and such, like, hey, how do I start selling real estate, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So, well, no, that's always the scary moment when you go, okay, like Chad's like, oh my gosh, I've already had the recession, the coronavirus. So, and I'm only 23, 22. See, I've gotten it all mixed up. Okay. So what do you think, what has been kind of your biggest lesson learned?
Say yes to everything. And
that's your lesson, to say yes to everything?
Okay. Well,
mine's the opposite. See how I asked him that, everybody? I just know him too well. Go ahead.
Okay, maybe everything once, so I guess get a feel. Don't lock yourself into, okay, I'm going to study to be a doctor. I'm going to study to be a lawyer. I'm going to, whatever. If you are, great, do it. But try some other things first, because you don't want to be in a position where, I didn't want to be a real estate agent. Like,
we never got to that. How did that happen?
I needed to make some money.
God, just like me, I swear, kindred spirits.
But frankly, I honest to God, I love it. And
what do you love most about it?
No day's the same.
That's for sure. You just love all the craziness at Jere Metcalf Partners. That's what you love about it.
Absolutely.
So, your biggest lesson? I think you said it, but I wanted to I was picking on you too much.
Well, I'm really trying to, I just have so many lessons, I feel like.
What's the biggest hurdle you've ever come?
I think dropping out of college was seriously huge. Because in high school, I was most likely to succeed, most likely to change the world. I had good grades.
Well, they were right.
I started a nonprofit. I thought I was
See, you forgot to mention that. Maybe you were 90, not 64 in your 22 years. What was the nonprofit?
So it was Atlanta Children's Charities. And that was actually, that was interesting too, in terms of perspective, because that's when I was really working for the Jets, and it ended up becoming, we had 300 members of, students, and we would go and volunteer on the West Side. And perspective, that's my lesson. See as many perspectives as possible, because I saw the perspective of absolute, I thought we were poor until we started going to volunteer at the homeless shelters. And I was like, wow.
What made you start? And you were what, 16 when you did that? How old were you?
Yeah, 16.
What made you start that? You had 300 members?
Yeah. We raised
What made you do that?
$45,000. And it's still, it's still active to this day, and it's still at Walton High School. I think purpose
and perspective.
Yep.
All right. The final three. You never listened to the end of the show, Chad. And he knew me through the show. He actually quotes my shows all the time. what is you, or maybe you don't know, this is the final three, but what is your, what do you find is the most resourceful, either a piece of technology or resource or business practice that you have that you found has made you most successful? Is it a CRM? Is it a certain way you practice, a certain way you network?
I guess, I mean, all of the above.
Oh, that's not the right answer. That's not, this is not.
I don't know. I have so many answers.
There's not all of the above.
Like I love Product Hunt. That's
Product Hunt?
Yep. That's where I find all my tools that I send you. And I'm like, Jerry, we need to get this. And then I forget about that.
Oh, now I know the secret. Here I thought he was some genius. He just has Product Hunt. Huh.
Exactly. No, that's
Is that a website?
Yeah. And it's like all the latest just technologies of, these.
Wow.
It is the best. That's where I found, I don't remember what it's called, but I've showed you stuff from Product Hunt that you still use. And then I guess like networking wise, just break yourself into the,
there's just one tool. What's the one tool that's made you most successful? Just one.
The internet.
Oh, that doesn't count. That's like the phone. It's got to be like specific. Like, is it Product Hunt? Is it
Facebook? I will say, okay, Facebook, not running ads, none of that. Every time I meet someone, I'll add them on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. And connecting, just reconnecting.
It's like handing someone a business card because I've never gotten a call or whatever from a business card, but I've gotten a ton of business.
Because you can develop the relationship.
Exactly.
What about Instagram? See, y'all, he's 64 because the 64-year-olds are all on Facebook.
Yeah, the Instagram.
You're also on Instagram.
I am, but I think it's a little more... Well, I guess and it's a generational thing because, I came into it like trying to sell to, a different generation and that was effective with them. But I think millennials and Gen Z, like Instagram, Snapchat, kind of more.
But Facebook really is.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm on Facebook all the time.
What is the one book, if you could just name one, everybody knows what mine is. If you could name one book that has most impacted your life, if there was going to be one book you would recommend people read, life-changing, whatever, what is that book?
In terms of mindset or?
Whatever. Just a book you can't live without. You have to read or your life would never be the same. It could be anything, even if it's a novel.
Not to get political, but I think
we got political with my book, Dan Crenshaw and Fortitude, but it is really a great book.
How to think like a billionaire.
That's not political, is it?
I mean, it's Donald Trump's book.
Oh, How to Think Like a Billionaire. When we lose followers because of you, Chad, no, I'm kidding. Yeah. How to Think Like a Billionaire.
No, but the reason why I ask skill-wise, because it's not like I quote like How to Think Like a Billionaire.
And I've never read that. I've never read any of his books, actually. What was your big takeaway from How to Think Like a Billionaire?
That it's a state of mind, and wealth goes to a state of mind, and it's not chasing money. It's, thinking about things and
say that again. It's thinking about
just the right things and putting yourself in the right environment and affirming yourself that you are.
Or like we said, abundance is not something you build, it's something you tune into.
Exactly.
Last question. If there is one thing that you hope we remember from this, if we're just going to forget everything else, what is it?
A big lesson that I learned is I try to do everything by myself because like any entrepreneur or, someone in that regard, like, it's my way or the highway. But what I'm still working on, and I will say, as I've gotten a lot better at, is listening to the wisdom of people that have been there and done that, such as yourself. But I think it's just, it takes time to identify those people and to truly build that connection with them so that you don't feel like you're getting lectured and like you feel like you're under.
Are you trying to say I lecture you?
No, I'm
totally
saying,
kidding, by the way. Yeah. So but good. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's just, I guess, finding a mentor.
So if the one message is
Find a mentor.
Find a mentor.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, we're going to end with that. Thank you for coming on.
Of course. At midnight, I think now. Are we?
Hey, don't tell everybody that. Is it midnight?
11:34.
I like this hour for interviews. All right, we're going to say bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, Jere.
Thank you, Chad.